Let me tell you about Margaret, a 67-year-old former nurse who contacted me after her doctor warned her about sarcopenia. She'd been eating 3 eggs every morning for breakfast, doing everything right according to conventional wisdom, yet her muscle mass kept declining. 6 months ago, she made one change to her morning routine, and at her last DEXA scan, she'd gained 4.2 pounds of lean muscle mass. Her grip strength increased by 18%. Her doctor asked what she was doing differently. The answer surprised both of them. And it's going to challenge what you think you know about protein after 60. Here's what's really happening in your body right now. After age 60, something called anabolic resistance develops in your muscle cells. Think of it like this. When you were younger, your muscles were like eager puppies, jumping at any protein you threw their way. Now, they're more like skeptical cats. They need convincing. They need a bigger signal. Dr. Stuart Phillips at McMaster University spent years studying this phenomenon. And what he discovered changes everything we thought we knew about protein and aging. Your muscle cells have protein sensors, tiny molecular gatekeepers that decide whether to build new muscle or just let the protein pass through. The main gatekeeper is called mTOR, and it responds primarily to one amino acid, leucine. Here's the critical part. When you're young, about 1.5 to 2 grams of leucine will wake up mTOR and trigger muscle building. After 60, you need 2.5 to 3 grams. That's a 50% increase. This isn't about eating more food, it's about hitting a threshold. Now let's talk about those 3 eggs Margaret was eating. 3 large eggs contain roughly 18 grams of protein. Excellent quality protein, I should add. But here's where the math gets interesting. Those 18 grams contain only about 1.5 grams of leucine. For someone over 60, that's below the threshold. It's like knocking on a door that won't open. Your body processes the protein, uses some for general maintenance, but never triggers the muscle-building cascade you need. The one scoop I'm talking about? It's not some proprietary blend or expensive pharmaceutical. It's whey protein isolate, but not just any whey, and not used the way most people use it. A single scoop of quality whey isolate contains 20 to 25 grams of protein with 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine, right at that threshold. But here's what makes it more effective than 3 eggs for someone over 60. It's the speed. Dr. Luc van Loon at Maastricht University studied what he calls the anabolic window in older adults. Your muscle cells stay responsive to that leucine signal for only about 2 to 3 hours after you eat. With whole food protein like eggs, digestion takes 90 to 120 minutes. By the time the amino acids reach peak concentration in your bloodstream, you've already used up half your anabolic window. Whey isolate? It hits peak blood levels in 45 minutes. Your muscles get a strong, fast signal when they're most ready to respond. This doesn't mean eggs are bad. It means timing and combination matter more than we realized. Let me explain how Margaret now structures her morning, because this is where it gets practical. She wakes up. Her muscles haven't seen protein for 8 to 10 hours. They're in a catabolic state, breaking down more than they're building. This is when older adults lose muscle, during the night and early morning. She immediately has 1 scoop of whey isolate mixed with water. Not in a smoothie with fruit and oats, just water. Why? Because fat and fiber, slow absorption. And right now, she wants speed. 30 minutes later, she eats her 3 eggs with vegetables. Now here's the brilliant part. The whey has already triggered mTOR. The anabolic machinery is running. The eggs provide sustained amino acid release for the next 2 to 3 hours, keeping that machinery fed. It's like starting an engine with a fast-acting starter, then feeding it steady fuel to keep it running. The combination delivers benefits neither food provides alone, but we need to go deeper because leucine is only part of the story. After 60, your digestive system produces less stomach acid and fewer digestive enzymes. This means you extract less nutrition from whole foods. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 65 absorb only about 65 to 70% of the amino acids from whole food protein sources, compared to 95% from hydrolyzed or isolated proteins. This isn't about the quality of the food, it's about your changing physiology. Here's something most doctors don't tell you. Muscle loss after 60 isn't primarily about not eating enough protein. Most older adults eat adequate total protein. The problem is distribution and timing. Research by Dr. Padden Jones at the University of Texas showed that older adults who eat 80 to 90 grams of protein daily but consume it unevenly, say 10 grams at breakfast, 20 at lunch, 50 at dinner, build significantly less muscle than those eating 30 grams at each meal, even with the same total intake. Why? Because you can't store amino acids like you store fat or carbohydrates. Your body uses what it needs in the moment, and the rest gets converted to glucose or excreted. That massive 50-gram protein dinner? Your muscles can only use about 30 to 35 grams for building. The rest is wasted from a muscle building perspective. This is why the one scoop strategy works. It's not about more protein, it's about smarter protein. Let me give you the numbers that matter. For someone over 60 trying to maintain or build muscle, you need 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal, with at least 2.5 grams of leucine 3 times per day, not spread out in snacks, in distinct meals separated by 4 to 5 hours. This pattern keeps triggering that MTOR switch throughout the day. One scoop of whey isolate gets you there at breakfast when it's hardest to eat enough whole food protein early in the day. Now, I need to address the concern everyone raises. What about kidney function? There's this persistent myth that higher protein intake damages kidneys in older adults. Dr. Stuart Phillips addressed this directly in a 2019 review paper. In people with normal kidney function, there is zero evidence that protein intakes up to 1.6 grams per kilogram of body weight cause any harm whatsoever. That's about 110 grams per day for a 150-pound person. The confusion comes from people with existing kidney disease who do need to limit protein. But that's a different population with different needs. Here's what happens when you don't maintain muscle after 60. It's not just about appearance or strength. Muscle is your metabolic currency. Each pound of muscle burns about 6 calories per day at rest. Lose 10 pounds of muscle, which is common between age 60 and 70, and your metabolism drops by 60 calories daily. That's 21,900 calories per year, or 6.2 pounds of fat gained annually, even if you eat the same amount. This is why people say their metabolism slowed down. It did because they lost muscle. But the metabolic effect is actually the least important consequence. Muscle is your glucose disposal system. When you lose muscle, you become more insulin resistant, even if your weight stays stable. This is why type 2 diabetes rates spike after 60. Muscle is your fall prevention system. The number one cause of loss of independence in older adults isn't heart disease or cancer. It's falls leading to fractures. Weak muscles mean poor balance and inability to catch yourself. Muscle is your longevity organ. Studies consistently show that muscle mass in your 60s and 70s predicts mortality better than BMI, cholesterol, or blood pressure. Let me take you back to Margaret for a moment because her experience illustrates something crucial. She didn't just add the whey protein. She made 3 other changes based on the same research. First, she started eating her eggs with sauerkraut. Why? The probiotics and organic acids in fermented foods increase protein absorption. A 2020 study found that fermented food consumption increased amino acid bioavailability by up to 15% in older adults. Small change, significant impact. Second, she moved her carbohydrates to after her protein. She used to have oatmeal first, then eggs. Now she has the whey, then eggs, then a small amount of fruit or oats. Here's why this matters. Insulin helps drive amino acids into muscle cells, but you want the amino acids there first. Having protein before carbs means the amino acid levels are already elevated when insulin arrives to push them into cells. It's like having passengers waiting at the station before the train arrives. Third, and this surprised her, she started walking for 10 minutes right after breakfast. Not intense exercise, just a gentle walk. Research by Dr. Andrew Philp in Australia showed that light activity immediately after protein consumption increases muscle protein synthesis by 18% compared to remaining sedentary. The muscle contractions seem to sensitize the cells to the amino acids. 10 minutes, that's all it takes. Now let's talk about the type of whey that matters, because not all protein powders are created equal. You want whey protein, isolate, not concentrate. Here's the difference. Concentrate is about 70 to 80% protein by weight, with the rest being lactose, fat, and other milk components. Isolate is 90 to 95% protein, with almost all lactose and fat removed. Why does this matter after 60? Because many older adults develop some degree of lactose intolerance as lactase enzyme production declines. The small amount in concentrate can cause bloating and digestive discomfort, which then makes people stop using it. Look for cold processed isolate. Heat processing can denature some of the protein fractions and reduce the concentration of immunoglobulins and lactoferrin compounds that support immune function. After 60, you want every advantage. The label should show at least 2.5 grams of leucine per serving. Some companies add extra leucine, which can be beneficial, but natural whey isolate should hit that threshold on its own if the serving size is adequate. Here's a practical consideration nobody talks about: taste fatigue. Margaret tried 4 different brands before finding one she could drink every single morning. This matters because consistency is everything. Missing 2 to 3 days per week might not seem significant, but remember, you're trying to overcome anabolic resistance that's present every single day. The best protein powder is the one you'll actually use daily. Unflavored can be mixed with coffee or added to savory dishes. Vanilla is versatile. Chocolate gets old quickly for most people. Let me address the cost concern because I hear this frequently. A quality whey isolate costs approximately $1 per serving. 3 eggs cost roughly 60 to 90 cents depending on your location. You're not replacing the eggs. You're adding the whey. So we're talking about an additional dollar per day or $30 per month. Now consider the average medication for sarcopenia-related issues, falls, fractures, or metabolic problems costs substantially more, and that's before considering the quality of life impact. Prevention is always cheaper than treatment. Some of you are thinking, what about plant-based proteins? Can they hit that leucine threshold? The honest answer is it's more difficult but possible. Pea protein isolate contains about 1.8 to 2.0 grams of leucine per 20 gram serving. You'd need to use a larger serving or combine multiple plant proteins. Soy protein isolate is closer to whey with about 2.2 grams per serving, but there's another factor. Plant proteins have lower digestibility scores. Your body absorbs about 95% of whey, but only 75 to 85% of most plant proteins. This doesn't mean plant-based approaches don't work. It means you need to be more strategic and possibly use larger amounts. Here's what the research shows about timing beyond just breakfast. The most critical time to hit that leucine threshold is within 30 minutes of waking. Overnight fasting creates a catabolic state where muscle breakdown exceeds synthesis. The faster you reverse that, the better. The second most critical time is within 2 hours after resistance training, if you're doing any. Your muscles are sensitized to amino acids for up to 48 hours after a workout, but the effect is strongest in the first 2 hours. The third meal is less time sensitive, but maintaining the 25 to 30 gram threshold still matters. Let me give you Margaret's current full daily structure because seeing the complete picture helps. She wakes at 6:30, drinks 8 ounces of water immediately. At 6:45, she has 1 scoop of whey isolate in 8 to 10 ounces of water. At 7:15, she eats 3 eggs scrambled with vegetables and a small portion of sauerkraut, plus half a slice of whole grain toast. She walks around her neighborhood until 7:45. Lunch at noon is 4 to 5 ounces of chicken or fish with vegetables and a small sweet potato. Dinner at 6 o'clock is similar. 4 to 5 ounces of protein, vegetables, and a small amount of starch. Total daily protein, about 95 to 105 grams, distributed evenly. That's the key. She's also doing resistance training twice a week. Nothing extreme, just body weight exercises and light dumbbells for 30 minutes. But here's what she told me. She tried resistance training before changing her protein approach, and she felt exhausted afterward with minimal results. Same exercises now, but she recovers faster and sees visible changes. The exercise didn't change. Her nutritional support for the exercise changed. Something interesting happened that Margaret didn't expect. Her sleep improved. Whey protein contains significant amounts of tryptophan, a precursor to serotonin and melatonin. Several of my clients have reported deeper sleep after adding morning whey protein. There's also preliminary research suggesting that improved muscle mass correlates with reduced sleep apnea symptoms, possibly because stronger upper airway muscles resist collapse. Margaret's husband said she stopped snoring. That alone might be worth the price of the protein powder. I want to address one more myth: the idea that you can get all this from food, that supplements are unnecessary. Technically true, but practically difficult. To get 2.5-3 grams of leucine from whole foods at breakfast, you'd need to eat 5 to 6 eggs, or 5 to 6 ounces of chicken, or 6 to 7 ounces of Greek yogurt every single morning. That's a lot of food first thing in the morning when most older adults have reduced appetite. It's also time consuming to prepare. The whey takes 30 seconds to mix and drink. Perfect is the enemy of good. The best nutrition plan is one you'll follow consistently. One client asked me, "When will I see results?" Margaret noticed better energy within a week. She could feel the difference in her morning alertness and stamina. Measurable strength improvements appeared around week 4 to 5. She could carry groceries more easily, get up from chairs without using her arms. Visible muscle definition became apparent around week 8 to 10. The DEXA scan at 6 months confirmed what she was already experiencing: 4.2 pounds of lean muscle gain at 67 years old, without extreme dieting or intense training, just smart nutrition timing and consistency. Here's the reality: after 60, your margin for error shrinks. The dietary patterns that maintained muscle at 40 or 50 won't work anymore. You need to be more intentional, more precise, more consistent. This isn't unfair, it's biology. But the good news is that your muscles don't stop responding. They just need a stronger signal. That one scoop of whey isolate, used strategically, provides that signal in the most efficient, absorbable, quick-acting form available. Think about what muscle means for your next 20 to 30 years. It means independence. Being able to live in your own home, care for yourself, play with grandchildren. It means metabolic health, better blood sugar control, healthier body composition, reduced disease risk. It means physical resilience, surviving illnesses and surgeries that become more common with age. It means confidence, not worrying about falling, not feeling fragile, not declining into frailty. All of this is influenced by the choices you make every single morning. Margaret told me something profound a few months ago. She said, "I spent my whole life taking care of other people as a nurse. I watched so many patients lose their independence in their 70s and 80s, and I just assumed that was inevitable. Now I realize most of them weren't eating enough protein early in the day. Nobody knew about the leucine threshold. Nobody understood anabolic resistance. They were doing their best with outdated information." She's right. We know so much more now about how to maintain muscle after 60. The question is whether you'll use that information. One scoop every morning with water for fast absorption, followed 30 minutes later by whole food protein and vegetables. This simple pattern, repeated daily, might be the most powerful intervention you can make for healthy aging. More impactful than most medications. More important than most supplements. Absolutely foundational for maintaining the physical capacity to enjoy your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. I know some of you are thinking, this sounds too simple. We're conditioned to believe that effective solutions must be complicated and expensive. But sometimes the most powerful interventions are straightforward. It's just that nobody explained the why behind them. You now understand anabolic resistance, leucine thresholds, protein timing, and absorption dynamics. You understand why one scoop of the right protein, used correctly, outperforms 3 eggs for building muscle after 60. Not because eggs are inferior, but because of how your body has changed. Your homework, if you're ready to try this, is simple. Get a quality whey protein isolate. Start with 1 scoop in water every morning on an empty stomach. Wait 30 minutes, then eat your normal breakfast with at least another 15 to 20 grams of protein. Do this consistently for 30 days. Pay attention to how you feel, your energy, your strength, your recovery if you exercise. Take measurements or photos if you want objective data. Give your body the signal it needs consistently, and trust the biology to respond. Your muscles are waiting for that signal right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. The question is whether you'll give it to them.